Sasha, if you just paid attention to these national polls, you'd say it's pretty close, particularly when you back out the margin of error. But how does it play out in the Electoral College?
Yeah, I mean, Hillary Clinton has had this consistent lead of at least 3 or 4 points for a while now, and I think it shows that even this week of Comey news, while it decayed a little bit of her support, hasn't drawn Trump closer. You look at the Electoral College map, and we're back where we've always been, which is that she has a structural advantage in the battleground states that forces Donald Trump to have an overwhelming sweep in states where he's never had a solid lead. And that's what makes, despite the seeming closeness of the national polls, both campaigns, see her in the driver's seat going into Election Day.
So, Sasha, given that situation, take us through the state polls in this sense. If you were advising Donald Trump today, what is the scenario you would put together to say, yes, we still could win this thing? Which are the states that you think he might actually have a chance of carrying that put him over the top?
Well, Florida is essential for any map. They're fairly confident about Ohio. The early vote numbers out of Nevada, where 2 weeks ago the Trump campaign was very optimistic, show an electorate that is heavier with first-time voters and Latinos than they would want to see. And I think there's reason for them to be very pessimistic about Nevada and Colorado based on the early and mail ballots there. That's one of the ways that campaigns have changed this year is there's a lot less reliance just on public polling or private polling and far more on looking in some of these states where, such as in Nevada, 70% of people are going to have voted before tomorrow. So the early returns are already in for these campaigns. And that's one reason we see Donald Trump going to states like Minnesota yesterday where he had never campaigned before, because he's sort of desperate to pull something else out, given that the states that he had identified as battlegrounds now seem to be drifting away.
Sasha, you referred to the FBI investigation, which was put an end to yesterday by Director Comey. It's interesting how the two campaigns reacted to it. I was watching as Hillary Clinton was appearing with LeBron James in Cleveland, never mentioned it at all. On the other hand, Donald Trump put it front and center. Let's take a look.
She's being protected by a rigged system. You can't review 650,000 emails in 8 days.
I want us to have an ongoing discussion about how we are all going to contribute to making our country all it should be. I really believe that America's best years are still ahead of us.
Those values that we've taught our children, that you're teaching your children, your grandchildren, we can't have a president who every day seems to violate those basic values.
My opponent has a very dark and divisive view.
And now it's up to the American people to deliver justice at the ballot.
So, Sasha, last question. What does that sort of exchange tell us about what these two campaigns are thinking about, what they need to do to get their voters out and voting for them? I
mean, Hillary Clinton has wanted to sort of end on a positive note for a while now, in large part because she wants to be able to tell a story that seems to give her some sort of mandate, legislatively, executively, and not have the story tomorrow night, if she wins, be that she ran against a sort of historically weak candidate and won by default. This, I think, she spent a lot of time in the last week going after Trump because they felt vulnerable on this story. I think this gives her the opportunity to spend the last 48 hours on a sort of more positive thematic message and try to have her victory represent something forward-leaning and not just a contrast against her opponent.